Episode 10, Demons Within.
Jibbity job. You feeling confident today, Peter?
I don't know.
Bro, it's a wild card. Confidence is a wild card.
Yeah?
So welcome to the episode. We are talking about confidence in this episode and how it is impacted by alcohol. Yeah, that's what we're doing. And I hope you can see the confidence that I'm displaying in this topic. Also, this episode's coming out, I believe, on August 20th. Means we're getting real close to the Demons Within release. Yeah. Demons Within, a philosophical character study with themes of hope and despair in the guise of a crime thriller. It is a crime thriller. It is a page turner. It is an unput-downable book. So yeah, look out for that. It's going to be on Amazon, hardcover, paperback, and ebook.
September 19th.
Yep. So yeah, Pete, we had a big week.
Yeah, we did.
We had a big week.
Tell me about the Cheesecake Girl.
Well, I fell in love with Cheesecake Factory Girl.
Yeah. They got some good cheesecake.
They have real good cheesecake. They have good food. I haven't ate there in a long time, and I always, in my brain, I think of the Cheesecake Factory. That's going to be so fucking loud. Yeah, so, anyways, Cheesecake Factory Girl. Fell in love. Sparks were flying.
Yes.
Yeah, so this girl, I don't know. I just love this girl. And I'm going to go ask her out.
We should go to Cheesecake Factory today.
Let's do it. Let's do it. But anyways, as I was saying before, a pipe just started spewing water above our heads, causing pandemonium in the audio part of this podcast. I was saying Cheesecake Factories in my mind were always those like chain restaurants, like a step above like a Chipotle or something like that. But the food's actually mad good and you get a lot of it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of, I remember I'd go to like some of these little chain restaurants and I always thought the portions were mad small, but not there. I ate mad food. Yeah. I couldn't even move after. And I mean, I was also just so distracted by Cheesecake Factory Girl. I was very hard to stay present because I was just imagining my wedding with her and our family. But no, she's dope. I'm going to ask her out. I can't wait. I'm excited. And she might look back on this episode when we start dating like, wow, you're creepy. And then she'll break up with me. And whatever, you take the wins when you can, and you take the losses.
You're definitely one of a kind.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah. So we also went up to the track.
Yeah.
We went to the Saratoga racetrack. For people that aren't in the capital region or aren't into horse racing, it's like a historic racetrack that opens every summer in Saratoga. And you bet on horses, and the girls wear these weird, massive hats. They're all floppy. And the guys, some of them wear pants and tight shirts on like 1,000,000-degree day weather.
Yep.
And me and Pete just wear shorts. And the one thing we realized, because every other time I went to the track, I got shit-faced.
Yeah, me as well.
And it was fun, for the most part. But this time, obviously, me and Peter are both in recovery. Me and Job Pete, we don't drink. And we went up there on a Wednesday, which was another kind of mistake because it was all like the retired people and the people with little kids.
Women with couples.
Yeah, it was like 3 to 5 women that they looked like they were cool.
Yeah.
And they all were with their boyfriends. But we're not out there being dogs. We're not hound dogging women.
No.
We just went up there to just bet on some horses. But what we realized, though, because every other time we went there, we would be getting absolutely plastered. And you can bring your own alcohol in there. It's one of the last places I can think of where you can just bring in your own beer, which is pretty awesome. But we realized that in between races, we had nothing to do. Because in between races is normally where we'd start pounding beers.
Yeah, we were lost. I was anyway.
Yeah, we just were walking around looking at people, which is pretty fun in and of itself, like people watching. But yeah, so we did that. We felt kind of awkward in between races.
Pete had a panic attack.
Pete had a mild panic attack. And I just kept walking.
Yep.
I was like, I didn't know what to do.
But that's what you got to do. You got to do things and you got to push yourself and you got to get out there.
Yeah, you got to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
I mean, also saw that.
So I thought it was good.
I had fun.
Although we learned a lesson.
Yeah.
What do you do between the track times? I mean, next time I'll go up with my brother.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was just me and you that went up, so I mean, if we were the group of people, or I do think a weekend crowd,
Yeah.
there's some more people within our age group, so I'd be, talking to people.
Yeah.
We probably would have ran into people
Random
we
people,
knew.
like, we didn't see one person we knew.
Yeah, not one person, which is kind of preposterous. And a lot of that has to do with, like I said, the Wednesday midweek. It's like people with normal jobs are at work. Me and Peter just out and about doing what we got to do to get things done.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
I love the topic today. That was social anxiety.
Yeah.
It made me actually think about when I would drink and why I would drink. In general, when I'm in the public at any type of event, I feel anxious.
Yeah.
And I'm sure most people do. And alcohol was always my out. Realizing that I'm an alcoholic now, every time that I would go to these events and drink, I would feel good at the start, but by the end I was absolutely drunk and hammered. And I think in every situation, I don't really remember drinking for fun. It was because I felt socially awkward and I needed to have a drink to feel comfortable. And I didn't have self-confidence, which is what you talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Alcohol, I mean, for people who can enjoy alcohol in moderation, it is a fantastic sort of social lubrication, I believe they call it in certain circles.
Yeah.
And it really does help with confidence and it helps relieve social anxiety. But for the people like you and I, and people like millions of people who struggle with these things, it's a disaster. And alcohol itself is just so ingrained in American and Western culture. It's like the centerpiece of the vast majority of social events.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking at this thing I was telling you the other day. I mean, when this episode comes out, it'll be about a month past it. But on July 24th, which is Monday from when we're recording today, it's National Tequila Day. Now, I think that's insane because alcohol is, I mean, I have stats here, okay? So we're celebrating something that is alcohol-related deaths, 140,000 alcohol-related deaths a year in the U.S.
Wow.
210,000 emergency room alcohol-related visits in the U.S. every year. 306,000 alcohol-related arrests, including 40% of all homicides. And 32 people are killed every day in an alcohol-related car accident.
Oh, shit.
So, I mean, yeah, alcohol can be a good time, but it's like we're having a day where we're celebrating something that does that. It's like, when's National Cocaine Day? When's National Domestic Violence Day? When's National, I'm going to beat the shit out of my girlfriend today day?
Yeah.
It's just a crazy thing because there's just so many different sides to it. And despite all of this, I still always say I'm not anti-alcohol. I'm not anti-alcohol for people who can enjoy it in moderation and enjoy it responsibly. But the fact is, hundreds of thousands of people and millions of people are affected by it negatively, and we celebrate it. And, I know these national days are kind of just stupid jokes at this point. They're like novelties. Like the other day was National Air Conditioner Day. But at least that is something that is almost undeniably beneficial to the human race.
Yeah.
Like, if I didn't have air conditioner, I'd probably be dead. I'd be dead.
You got the AC in your room.
Yeah, I know. And I literally just put my whole body against it. I literally fan off every region of my body. Use your imagination, or don't actually. I don't want anyone to have that mental image.
Yeah.
So anyways, alcohol is very prevalent, and one of the reasons it's so prevalent at these like business functions, at social events, is because so many people have at least a mild sense of social anxiety.
Yep.
Now people like me and alcoholics, it was definitely something I used all the time because I had social anxiety. And for me, it's kind of strange because when I was growing up, when I was in high school, and even in my early 20s, I had an arrogant level of confidence.
Yeah.
But I was drinking at the time. But then something happened in my mid-20s where while I was sober, I lost that confidence.
Yeah.
So I had to drink. Well, I didn't have to drink. You never have to drink, but that's how I coped with it amongst all the other character defects I have. But alcohol was my go-to thing to ease me up for going out there. I mean, I would drink before everything.
Yeah, mine was more because of my PTSD. I always think death is around the corner, no matter where I am. At like even back in the day when we had the college parties, when I was sitting there, I always thought something bad would pop off, and I would have to have a drink just to calm my nerves.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's exactly what I did, and that's what a lot of people do. I mean, and a big problem with that too is once eventually you become dependent on the alcohol
one hundred
that give
percent.
you confidence. So it's really just this negative feedback loop where every time you drink for confidence, you're limiting your natural confidence when you're sober.
It's funny how you said your confidence went kind of downhill when you were drinking more. Same with me. I would start when I was starting to spiral rock bottom. I was drinking just before business meetings,
Yeah.
and I was exactly the same way you were, losing my confidence as a sober person.
Yeah. Well, and that's what happened to me too. And it was like, even for events that I was comfortable at, I would get in my mind that, oh, I'm just like, I'm way cooler, chill, and like more loose with a couple drinks.
Yeah.
I would get the little shooters, like the little,
Me too.
the little liquor bottles, and I would bring them everywhere. Like I remember I'd go out to dinner with people I'm so comfortable with that I've known for decades, and I would still feel the need to have a couple shooters
Yeah.
on me.
Yeah.
And I mean, this all started when I really got close to rock bottom. I wasn't always doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also just randomly have bursts of confidence too while sober. I think that has to do with my proclivity for hypomania that I have it under control. But if I would have a hypomanic episode, I would be super confident.
Yeah. While you were drinking?
Before I drank, I just would think I was the man, but then I would go out and I would just drink too much.
Oh.
And I would do other things that are bad. Jeff.
How did hypomania lead you to drinking though? Like what did it do?
Well, so what I figured out, so when I started realizing I was like crazy,
Yeah.
I would go to see a therapist and I would tell them my symptoms and they would always prescribe me with Lexapro for depression, but I never remembered being depressed unless I was drinking and hungover.
Yeah.
So what I used to do, I would white knuckle sobriety. I would stop drinking on my own for several months.
Mm-hmm.
And during the course of those months, I would slowly build up.
Yeah.
Like I would be going to bed later and waking up earlier. I would be more agitated and irritable. And I would just be like so energetic. I'd have an unlimited supply of energy. And then eventually I'd become very impulsive, and that would lead to me on a whim going out and drinking and doing coke, stuff like that. And then as a result of that, I would crash hard and be savagely depressed, and I would often just keep drinking for a few weeks. So it was this vicious cycle. So I was determined that I actually had hypomania, and the Lexapro was making it worse.
It does. Yeah.
It was making it worse. So now we got all that situated. We got my meds in order, and I don't ever feel hypomanic. And the thing is, though, something I found out that was interesting is hypomania, depending on how bad it gets, like full-blown mania, you can have breaks from reality and have psychosis, and it's incredibly destructive. And sometimes you got to be committed to institutions to deal with it.
Yeah.
Hypomania, though, it's not always bad. And that was sort of the thing that made it hard to diagnose. I saw this study that said 40% of students at Harvard, or maybe Stanford, but one of those, 40% of students had hypomanic episodes because it does make you so productive.
Yeah.
So if it's sort of at that border of being destructive, but it's not all the way there, it can be beneficial. Like I've gotten a ton of work done. So now though, I do find myself sort of at the precipice of hypomania, but it's not bad. But it's something I have to keep an eye on.
Did you just say the precipice?
Precipice.
What's that mean?
It's like on the edge.
Oh, okay.
It's like I'm getting close to the edge.
Okay.
I'm on the edge of glory. Little Gaga shout out. Little Lady Gaga shout out. That's because that's confident. I'll get up here and I'll sing. It's easy to sing in front of Peter. I'm very comfortable with Peter.
I'm comfortable with you too, friend. So what's the difference between self-esteem and confidence?
So self-esteem and self-confidence, they do overlap. But self-esteem is more about how you value yourself as a person and how you appreciate yourself. Mm-hmm. It's like self-worth based, and your self-esteem changes all of the time based on experiences. Whereas confidence is more just a belief in yourself and your abilities. So you can have low self-esteem and high confidence, which is actually something I dealt with quite a bit.
Yeah, I would say I did too.
Yeah, I felt like I just was, like I found myself hating myself, but I still believed I could do anything.
Yeah.
So it created this like perfect storm of just who am I?
Yeah,
What am I?
what the research you do on this is unbelievable because it makes me think about things that my mind and my body and my alcoholism was doing to me that I never knew.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah, I try to do what I can. When I do it, I can do it.
You know?
Because I have very much confidence in my ability to outline episodes. um, but confidence and sobriety, I mean, they're just essential components of living a fulfilling life because you just need confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And what I used to do a lot too with self-esteem and confidence, I would fake it till you make it, you know? And that actually works to a degree. A lot of times if you fake confidence, eventually you're like, oh, actually I'm confident now because I faked it for so long.
It's called auto-suggestion.
Yeah, that's what that is. Is that a Napoleon Hill thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a great book. Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, it's sort of like mantras in your brain.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, confident. It's just an integral part of life, and you got to figure it out because if you keep turning to chemical crutches for that confidence, and if you don't have the moderation button in your genetics, you're going to be an alcoholic, and you're going to have a very terrible life if you can't get out of it.
That's interesting because I definitely have high confidence because I'll email the CEOs of major companies for you, or I've done that in the past.
Yeah.
But then right after that, I'm doubting myself, and that's reason was some of the reasons why I drink.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking to Dan.
Yeah.
And he was just saying, he was telling us how it's just, it's a part of everything.
Yeah.
It's a part of everything. I mean, my alcohol was very prevalent in my family, but no other alcoholics, but it was at every social function, there's always alcohol. And I think it's just to loosen up.
Yeah.
People who can enjoy it responsibly, it helps them with their confidence. Because the other thing, you can be the most confident person in the world with regards to one thing, but you might have very low confidence in another
100%.
thing, and that's okay. I mean, somebody who's just confident in every single aspect of their life is like a psycho. It's a psychopath. It's Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Axe murdering Jared Leto.
Is that a narcissist?
No, narcissism is a little different. I mean, they can be co-occurring disorders. Like, I'm pretty sure. I'm not an expert on this. Actually, I've been watching a lot of the Tracy Marks videos on YouTube. She's a psychiatrist, and she makes very easy to digest videos about all sorts of mental health disorders.
Check that out.
It's awesome. I find myself just watching all
What's
of
her
them.
name?
Tracy Marks.
Tracy
I'll
Marks.
put a link up here, and then I'll reach out to her and be like, hey, watch this, and then promote us so we get more followers, or I'm going to become a psycho.
I have no confidence with women. No, I do. But there's things that I'm highly confident in, and there's things that I'm not confident in. I mean, that's typical though, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's normal. Yeah, so like a very prominent and often thought of confidence area for men is confidence with women. I mean, I think that's a big reason too why alcohol's, I mean, like the primary goal for most young men, and especially us when we were younger too, was going out to bars to meet women.
Exactly.
And like the way you look back on the night and the success of your venture out.
How many women did you talk to?
How many women? Did you get any numbers, or did you actually hook up? Were they attractive? Did you have sex?
Yeah, so it's like, how do we find a girl now?
Yeah, and confidence is like, well, and that's the thing. That's why you go out and you drink, because when you drink, you are more confident. And even if you're too drunk and you're acting like a bumbling idiot, like I did often in the past, I'm still talking to girls. They're just like, get this madman away from me. But like I did, I mean, and so many things go into that. Like I used to have a lot of success. When I lived in that apartment in Niskayuna, and I was ripped. I might put a picture up to show me, just to show off. Like I'm ripped now. I'm 37. I rarely run into a 37-year-old who's in as good a shape as me. But when I was that age, I was ripped, and I had a mad nice apartment in Niskayuna. And like just having those external things gave me confidence, and I was like slaying. It's kind of a weird thing to say to all these people watching. It's like arrogant and cocky, but I was slaying.
Yeah.
And the thing about confidence, though, which is the goal, to attain confidence without any external validation. So I was confident at that time because, I was drinking. I had like a 12-pack of abs. I am going to post the picture. And I had a mad nice apartment, and I was working. I had a decent job, so I had money in my pocket all the time. I was driving my Camaro, so I had a mad nice car. So all these external things gave me fake confidence.
Yep.
You know, in the inside, I still had very low self-esteem, but I was filling and covering up that low self-esteem with an arrogant level of confidence that was based on external validation. And that's not actually what I would consider a strong foundation for confidence.
Yeah.
True strength comes from within.
Yes.
A desperate desire for external things and outside validation is weakness disguised as strength. So that's what we want you to avoid. We want you to grow as a person. And that's why I think we're going to get into just some ways to help you grow confidence, especially for people in recovery.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I was ever most people are not at a lowlier place mentally and physically when they're just entering early recovery.
Yeah.
Like I was massive my first day of sobriety. I gained so much weight. I had no confidence. I would shame, regret, remorse, anxiety, depression, and yeah. So we talked about
Look
confidence.
at the smoke in here.
Yeah. Well, I'm quitting.
Yes,
You are
we
too. I
both
got a
are.
patch. So I did compile a list. I wrote some suggestions down, and we're going to go over them on sort of healthy ways to build confidence. And these again are suggestions and things that worked for me. And again, like I don't think I really touch on self-esteem as much, but they do go hand in hand in a way, even though you can have low self-esteem and high confidence, or high self-esteem and low confidence. But these are mainly confidence-based. So the first thing I wrote down, I said, building confidence requires us to identify our strengths and to believe in our abilities, because we all do have unique talents and skills. And we also, like when we develop new talents and skills, that alone can build confidence. And I think talents and skills, like I was saying, you don't want external validation, but a talent and a skill, like all those things I listed, the car, the physique, the nice apartment, those aren't talents or skills. Talents and skills come from within.
Yeah.
So you want to build those. You want to focus on the things that you are already good at and get better at, or you want to focus on things you're not good at and that you would like to get better at.
Can you give us some examples of that?
I mean, for my own life, and this is kind of a mixture of outside validation, but also talent and skill. So I'm very musical, as you know. I play many instruments. And as I started getting really good at piano, my confidence went up.
Interesting.
And the thing is,
that's a good point. Yeah.
But I also had a desire to get outside validation to show off my piano skills. But it's a little different. I think, I don't know if showing off is necessarily the right word though, because if you work hard at something, like
you want to showcase
you want to show
talent.
people, and people appreciate it too.
100%.
You know, it's almost like it's like a ton of different things, like stand-up comics. When they build their craft and they get good at it and they stand up there in front of hundreds of thousands of people, that requires confidence.
Yeah.
You know, it's like almost anything. Even the book, when I was writing Demons Within, it's like I was super hesitant. I didn't believe in myself. And then I was honing my skills in my writing craft. And as it started getting good, my confidence swelled. And I was like, holy shit, I'm onto something. I have something here. So it's basically anything like that. It could even be people skills. If you're sort of lacking in talking, look like
just go out and talk to someone.
Yeah, practice. Just talk to people, because at the end of the day, who cares? What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
You talk to somebody and you say something that's dumb, and then what do you think? They're going to chop your head off?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you do. I know you do. They're gonna... And if that happens, whatever, you don't have to worry about confidence anymore, because you're fucking dead. Because you're dead and you got no head. So that's what that means. So the next one I wrote down, the next thing, I said that another way to build confidence is to take risks and step outside of your comfort zone.
Yes.
You know?
That is big.
And that also goes hand in hand with everything I just said, because when you challenge yourself and you try new things, you develop new skills.
Yeah, and especially if you're in like a bad stage of alcoholism, or you're just getting out of it, isolation is a big problem.
Yeah.
So getting out there and taking risks just to go to the track like we did, still made me feel like I accomplished something.
Yeah. Yeah, that was huge.
That
was a big step for both of us, especially because we both just been working so much.
And even here on the podcast, getting out here and showcasing to the world that we're alcoholics.
Yeah.
That's a risk.
Yep. And a lot of times too, you don't getting out there and getting out of your comfort zone is huge. Because isolation is the opposite of connection,
Yep.
and connection is the opposite of addiction. So you have to get out.
Yeah.
You got to make connections. But sometimes too, you need to be in solitude, but solitude and isolation are different. Isolation is a feeling, and you accomplish nothing.
Yeah.
And isolation just makes every negative thing in your brain, it makes it worse because you can't stop thinking about it. Solitude, I consider different than isolation because that's when you're working on those skills. So like when I was learning piano, I was in solitude honing my piano skills. When I was writing the book, I was in solitude writing a fucking novel.
Yeah.
But I wasn't isolated. But on those same days, I'd write my book for like 5 hours. I'd write like 10,000 words. Then I'd go up in my room, and that's when the isolation would start. And that's when I'd be thinking, oh, everyone's going to hate my book. Everyone's going to hate me. I'm revealing to the world all my problems. Everyone's going to think I'm a loser. I'm a psycho, which people will. And that's okay.
That's why it's also important to create a routine if you're isolating.
Yeah, routine's important. Routine's one of the things. I just dropped this video. Again, this episode comes out August 20th, so I actually dropped the video on July 22nd, but it's about the rock bottom.
Yeah.
And it's basically about isolation and the lack of routine. Even routine builds confidence.
100%. I'm learning that now.
Yeah.
Just by us going out and doing things.
Yeah. If like every day I wake up, I get on my knees, thank God, I do all these healthy activities, I hit the gym, like you'll have confidence knowing you're doing all that stuff. And that's actually a little side note. The gym, I don't think I included this on my list, but stuff like working out is a huge confidence booster because it not only the physiological response to the stimulus of working out, it releases all sorts of chemicals in the brain that feel good, and you do start to look better. And despite what I said about trying to seek confidence without external validation, if you look good and you think you look good,
you internally feel good.
Yeah, it helps you build confidence.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a fact. And that's actually one of the things, like, my biggest resentment from the past person that I was with, all my resentments were gym related, and the gym used to be my sanctuary. I liked working out. I do again, but I liked working out so much. I had a home gym pre-COVID. I know a lot of people who need gym memberships because they need the motivation.
Yeah.
Like, this money's coming out of my account every month. I'm going to get my ass to the gym. I never need that. Never have needed motivation. And I would work out and I would feel so good. Confidence all time high. Then after my workout, I would get shit done. But for like 2 years, because of my poor mental health and my mentally weak mindset, and all my resentments were being gym related from the cult that I mentioned yesterday, or like the last episode, the CrossFit cult. That girl was part of, the cult of the CrossFit. All my resentments were from there. So I would work out and I'd allow myself to get triggered, which is weak and pathetic to a degree.
You'd get angry at yourself working out?
I would get angry at everyone else.
Oh.
And mid-workout, I would be so pissed. And I honestly think the starting point for so many of the arguments I started, those ideas got into my head mid-workout.
Oh, shit.
And then to the other people involved, they would come out of nowhere.
What kind of music were you listening to? Were you listening to like heavy metal or something?
Nah, bro. I actually listen to peaceful music when I work out, dude. I listen to sad songs, bro. I was listening to this band.
Sad songs.
I don't even Josiah. I can't think of their name. I'll put it up on the screen. And the song was like, it was like, Daisy. And I'm sitting here rapping like, I remember, when I was really strong, when I was powerlifting and I benched 405. And I could have done more, but I had no spotter. Like 405 moved pretty easily.
Oh, shit.
But I was scared to do it without a spotter to up the weight because I think I could have hit like 425 at least. And the song I was listening to was a long, long time ago. I can still remember how the music used to make me smile. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that's what I was listening to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ah! Bye, Miss America. Yo, So yeah, I'm a kind of a weird guy
Resentment
when it comes to
was
that.
big on my past. I used resentment to drink and play the victim role.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually basically everything I just said about the gym related stuff where it was something that would help build confidence that eventually just bred resentment.
Yeah.
That is the victim role.
Yeah.
I mean, I said that it's like half joking. I do that to get a rise out of it. I like to make Pete laugh.
Yeah.
And I do genuinely believe what I said, but I just don't. It's like such a pointless, unnecessary thing to say. And it definitely is resentful. So maybe I got to put pen to paper and work on that because there's no reason for me to be labeling any of these people as anything because they're just not, they don't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't matter to me. They matter to some people, but to me, they're nothing. They're atoms. They're like that Oppenheimer movie.
I don't know about that movie.
They're just atoms. That's
They're
all.
just talking.
Yo, me and Peter saw Oppenheimer, and that's a perfect example of expectations being premeditated resentments. Because it's one of the only movies I ever watched where, as I'm watching it, I'm like, yo, I think this movie is like a masterpiece, but I was expecting to see the atomic bomb drop in horrifically graphic detail on Hiroshima, and they never showed it. Spoiler, they don't show that. So I left disappointed, but in my brain, I'm like, that was like one of the most well-made movies, well-acted, well-written, well-directed movies I've ever seen.
I was lost.
Pete, I kept looking over, and I could tell.
Well, they had 3 flashbacks going on at once.
Yo,
I didn't know what was going on.
It was insane. Like, they were jumping between time periods.
Yeah.
They were going to black and white, and it was like all talk.
Yeah, I have to watch it again, though.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's what I'm going to do.
That's what I think, because now that I know what the movie is, when I watch it again, I know what to expect, and I'll really be able to appreciate it. Because it was an unbelievably good movie.
I thought the acting was good.
Yeah, it was so good. Like Robert Downey Jr. Yo, and that one dude, the whole time I was like, who is that? And it was Josh Hartnett. I don't know if you know who he is, but he used to be like a teen heartthrob kind of guy. He was
Is that the main character?
He was the big guy with the glasses who was like at the lab with him.
Oh, okay.
And the guy who portrayed him, he crushed it. I hope he like has a resurgence, but I remember him from like the teen romantic movies when I was growing up, and he was in like The Faculty.
Yeah. Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he did play a good role. He was one of my favorite characters.
He was like, he might have been my favorite character, and I was shocked. I was like, who is that? And then when I went on the old Wikipedia after, I saw it was him, and I was like, no way. Good for him.
Yep.
Yeah, I always liked him though. He was in The Faculty. He was awesome. You ever see that movie?
What, The Faculty?
Yeah.
I think I have.
That movie's got a pretty good display of confidence. It's high school. It's got basically every archetypal character from high school.
Oh, maybe I haven't seen it.
Yeah. No, they're like these.
Jibbity-ja.
It's like aliens overtake the school and they need water.
Oh, no. I've never seen that.
It's crazy.
Peter Piper picked the pecker.
Peter Piper picked the pecker. All right. Let's continue because we're getting off topic, but that's what we do. We're loose people. We're loose. We don't need alcohol to get loose anymore. So the next thing I wrote down was that it's very important to surround yourself with positive and supportive people who believe in you. That's why I surround
myself with you. I'm sorry, I just cut you off.
Oh, I thought you were going to shake my hand.
Oh.
No, you didn't cut me off. That's why we obviously have been friends for over a decade, and we work together now too, but I was so confident going to the track and not worried about drinking because I was with you.
Yeah.
But
same here.
But that's
and
important.
Shit, we're even quitting cigarettes together.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
or vapes.
You gotta have that.
Yeah.
When I didn't have that, I was a little lost.
Yeah. I mean, that's confidence, surrounding yourself with supportive people, and you want them to be truthful. You want them to call you out on bullshit.
100%.
But you want them to be supportive. I think that was one of the biggest concerns that I had when I decided to partake on this venture we're doing was like, are people going to support me? And the answer to that question is a overwhelming yes.
Yeah.
Mad people are supporting me for this. And it definitely helps my confidence.
Is that external validation?
Oh, yeah. No, it's not though, because you're
using your talents.
Yeah. And I mean, there definitely is, external validation is going to be a part of life.
That's why I want to say, it's always a part of life.
It's more so if your confidence or your mood is contingent upon external validation, that's when
which a lot of people are, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's when it's a problem. So it's like obviously I want my book to sell. I want people to like the content. I want to help people. And by doing that successfully, I will get outside validation. But if my whole state of mind and my mental health is depending on external validation, like positive external validation, then that's a problem because there's there's definitely a
No, that
chance
makes
that
sense.
nobody likes my book.
It's a good explanation, Greg.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I mean. And support it. You also,
Regularly.
surround yourself with supportive people and surround yourself with confident people and also help other people. This one woman sent me a message. I posted that one video and she sent me a message on a DM. She slid in my DMs. No, she was like an older lady. Did I already talk about this?
I don't think so.
Oh, this lady, she sent me a message and was just like, I think like God put that video you made today in front of me because I needed it. And she asked me for some advice and I told her what I do in those situations. And I was like, I said something else too, like, and at the end of the day, you got to just know your message made my day. So know that you made a complete stranger smile. And
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that. And I hope you are too. And she sent me back like she was just so touched that I don't know why I said touched like that. She slid in my DM and I touched her. But she, yeah. So like that type of stuff, that gave me confidence that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm kind of mad. I got an itch up here. Oh, and shout out to my uncle. He hooked me up with this shirt. He was like, it's a little too tight on me. And I was like, I got it. I like letting the buttons loose in the summer. I was walking around the track
I'm more
with
of a
like,
conservative.
I literally was walking around the track with like the bottom button buttoned only. It was like the reverse Mexican flannel. You know what? Like the Mexican or Spanish gangbangers back in the day, they would only button the top button.
That's right.
And the rest would flow. I had the opposite. I was opposite Mexican.
Good job.
Yeah. So surround yourself with supportive people.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I think I got one more. So another helpful strategy: find activities and hobbies that you enjoy, and do not involve alcohol. I don't even know why I included that. It's like, hey, Greg, write down like the most obvious thing this side of the Hudson River, and then present it as if it's a groundbreaking idea. Yeah, so do things you like and don't drink while you do them. Holy shit, I'm like a genius.
You're on fire, bro.
I should get a Nobel Prize. Speaking of that, Oppenheimer never got a Nobel Prize?
Really? Why?
Yeah.
Because he made the atomic bomb.
Yeah, and then they all thought he was a communist.
No shit.
Yeah. I think that's what the movie said. I don't know. It was 3 hours of talking.
That's why I'm lost.
It's so much information. I think they talked about that. That script.
I can say from personal experience, though, when being in isolation, how important hobbies are and getting out there. Even going to the Alcohol Anonymous barbecue that we went to. Just getting out there and feeling the energy of other people who are on the same mission as you.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
And having like legitimate hobbies that you can be proud of. I think you'll agree, like, when I was in my darkest alcohol moments, my hobby was drinking.
Yeah,
that's all 100%.
I did. It was all my drinking.
Like I would do other things while I was drinking, but there was always in the back of my mind, like when I've got to go grab another drink,
Yep.
or I got to go hit somebody up, or I got to go out and do something that also involves drinking. So it's like fill your life with things you enjoy, fill your life with things that are challenging, fill your life with people who are supportive, and get out of your comfort zone, get confident, go to Cheesecake Factory. Ask out the waitress that you fell in love with.
Well said, Greg.
Keys to life.
Over. We're going to do a news story about ketamine. Greg picked this article.
I picked this article. So we're doing a new thing. I'm going to add a new segment to the podcast. Just like we're going to touch on any news story. Because I'm not really doing the news hour anymore. I am going to start doing some other content, though, that's similar. Stay tuned for that. Or actually, by the time this episode comes out, again, I got to keep remembering that the fucking episode we're recording now comes out like a month from now. Yeah. So by the time this episode comes out, all this new content I'm teasing right now is already out. So you probably think I'm an idiot. Job.
You is.
So anyways, yeah, Peter read the article. I didn't really read it that much. But yeah, so I guess they're saying ketamine, they've done some research that just came out. This came out July 14th. Ketamine is effective for treatment-resistant depression.
Yes.
What do you think? What did the article say?
I think it means that they've tried all their medications. Nothing has worked. So they took a group of people, I think it was about 178 people, and injected them with ketamine.
Oh, shit.
Over a month time. And 20% of the group was completely free from depression. And you got to remember, this is a last resort. No other medications have worked for them. So the fact that 20% of them had complete remission from depression is incredible.
That's a huge number. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's interesting because that's kind of it makes me think too of the psychedelic microdosing.
I've tried that.
Yeah, I haven't tried that yet, but I mean, I don't. Right now, I'm doing well, so I'm not really looking to switch anything up. And I don't think I will ever have to again because I just am living the way I need to live. But it's interesting that all these things are becoming treatment options.
Yeah.
But then there's also, I mean, it's kind of like the opposite of these things that started as treatment options and then become abused narcotics like Xanax and shit like that, morphine, all that crap.
Yeah.
But no, that's very interesting. And I've had one experience with ketamine, and it wasn't on purpose. And I'm going to leave out several details because my family watches this programming. But needless to say, I accidentally ingested ketamine because I thought it was something else. And I remember walking out of the lobby of this like mad nice apartment, this skyscraper high-rise apartment in the middle of Manhattan. And I was in the lobby and I was literally couldn't stand up straight. I was walking like L-shaped. Like I was like walking like that. And these two girls I was with were like holding me up. It was like when they take off an injured football player.
Yeah.
They were holding me up, but I was like concussed and I was wobbling. It was nuts. So yeah, I mean, ketamine's a scary thing, but if you're able to have a doctor-supervised administration of this, I think it's pretty crazy that they went right to injecting.
Yeah, instead of the drip. They used the drip before, I guess the IV drip, but this was straight injection.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But that's interesting, and I love seeing research where they're trying new things because I do know a ton of people who nothing works for.
Yeah.
I have this one person who's an incredibly important person in my life, and they tried everything. They tried the thing where the brain, they like send waves into your head.
ECP,
something.
Electric convulsive therapy.
Yeah. And I think it did help in a way. I mean, the girl who was administering it, I guess, was very attractive. So that alone was worth it, I think, for him. But yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was a good episode, Greg.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good episode, Peter.
Demons Within comes out September 19th.
September 19th. Be on the lookout. We have a ton of stuff coming out. I mean, we're going to have a launch event. We're going to be we'll be at various bookstores throughout the capital region. We're going to keep pumping out content. And I'll be helping anybody who asks. If you need help, reach out to Gregory, and I will tell you what worked for me and might work for you. You is job.